Let's talk about the absolute bedrock of any successful project, building a clear and effective performance strategy. Without one, even the most brilliant plans can just fizzle out. So, let's dive right in.
If you're a project manager, you know this feeling all too well. You're juggling a million things, you're trying to keep the whole project on time, on budget, but something just feels a little off. There's this constant friction, right? Like things aren't quite clicking into place.
It's the question that keeps so many of us up at night. After all that planning, all that hard work, why do so many projects still end up veering off course? Well, the answer, a lot of the time, isn't in the plan itself, but in what happens before that plan is even written down.
And here are the usual suspects. You see this huge gap between the big picture goals and what we're actually measuring day to day. We're getting swamped with bad data, garbage in and garbage out. And when there's no clear accountability, nobody really owns the results. We end up just measuring what's easy, not what actually matters.
So how do we fix this whole mess? We have to start by flipping our thinking completely upside down. The key is to stop seeing strategy as a result of your plan. Instead, we have to recognize it for what it truly is, the starting point for everything else.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It completely reframes how we should approach this. Your strategy is the what and the why. The plan, that's just the roadmap for how you're going to get there. If you get that starting point wrong, it doesn't matter how great your map is, you're still heading to the wrong place.
Okay, so let's be super clear about what we're talking about. A project performance strategy isn't some vague, fluffy mission statement you hang on a wall. It is a structured, methodical way of doing things. It's about setting concrete goals and priorities, and, just as important, figuring out how you're going to track your progress. It's about creating total clarity, right from the get-go.
So how do we actually build one of these? Well, the good news is it's not nearly as scary as it might sound. It really just breaks down into a pretty clear, logical set of stages.
You can think of it as a four-step journey. First, you define your objectives. What does success look like? Then you figure out how you'll measure that success. And only after that do you actually develop the strategy itself. Finally, you get into the rhythm of measuring and managing your performance against that framework you've built.
Now let's pause on step 2 for a minute, because this is huge. This is where a lot of teams really get tripped up. Before you can build a strategy, you have to be fluent in the language of measurement. It's absolutely crucial to understand the tools you're going to use. First up, you've got your critical success factors, or CSFs. The best way to think of these is as the big non-negotiable conditions for success. So if you're building a new app, a CSF might be achieve a 4.5-star user rating. It's that high-level thing that if it doesn't happen, the project just isn't a success. Period.
Okay, next up are metrics. These are the specific hard numbers you're going to track. Sticking with our app example, a metric could be the number of bug reports per week, or maybe the number of daily active users. These are the raw data points that tell you if you're moving in the right direction.
And here it is, the critical distinction. KPIs, or Key Performance Indicators, are not just a bunch of metrics you decided to track. They are a hand-picked, focused subset of your most important metrics. So for our app, you might track dozens of metrics, but your one KPI could be the weekly user growth rate. That's the one number that tells you at a glance if you're on track to hit that critical success factor, that 4.5-star rating.
Now, it's so important to remember that creating the strategy is not a solo mission for the project manager. In fact, whether it works or not really hinges on bringing the right people together right from the very beginning.
Just let this number sink in for a second. 76%. A study from the Lean Construction Institute found that 76% of the absolute best-performing projects got all their key stakeholders, we're talking the owner, the architect, the contractors, involved before or during the initial idea phase. That's a massive link between early collaboration and success.
But how you engage them really matters. A bottom-up approach, where you involve everyone, is fantastic for getting real buy-in, and it's perfect for stable environments. It does take more time, no doubt. On the other hand, in a crisis situation, you might need a more direct, top-down approach from leadership just to make urgent decisions happen. It's all about picking the right tool for the job. And when you do take this collaborative approach, the payoffs are real. Everyone understands the strategy better because, hey, they helped build it. That leads directly to more commitment, which leads to a higher quality strategy, better teamwork, and just smarter decisions all around. So, we've gone over the problem, we've laid out the framework, and we've talked about why collaboration is so key. Now let's bring it all home and look at the end result. What does a great performance strategy actually get you?
Well, it delivers 4 huge payoffs. 1, you get way more understanding of the project's goals, which fixes that disconnect we talked about. 2, you just flat out have a higher chance of success. 3, you create a common language with your KPIs and metrics, which solves that garbage in, garbage out problem. And finally, your reporting becomes super efficient and meaningful, so you're not wasting time on redundant data.
And that really leaves us with one last, vital question to think about. See, the goal of a great strategy isn't just to measure what already happened. It's to actively guide improvement. So take a hard look at your own projects. Are your metrics just a report card telling you how you did? Or are they a compass actively pointing you toward how to get better every single day?